The call came on a quiet Tuesday afternoon in late October, and in a single moment, it cracked open a life that had been carefully sealed for 3 decades. Troy Landry, the fearless gator hunter, the swamp-born legend, the man who seemed carved straight out of Louisiana mud, was about to have everything exposed. For 30 years, Troy had lived 2 completely separate lives, and no one suspected a thing. To millions of viewers, Troy Landry wasn't just a reality TV star. He was an institution, a living symbol of Cajun resilience, shaped by the unforgiving waters of the Atchafalaya Basin and hardened by decades of survival where nature shows no mercy. With his bandana, booming laugh, and that unmistakable battle cry echoed in living rooms across America, Troy became the face of swamp people. Authentic, grounded, real, or so it seemed. Audiences watched him teach his sons the family trade, steer boats through treacherous waters like second nature, and live a life rooted in tradition and honest labor. Everything about Troy Landry felt genuine, like the Spanish moss hanging from cypress trees, unchanged by time. But authenticity, it turns out, can be the most convincing disguise of all. Those closest to Troy had always sensed something just beneath the surface, something unspoken, a quiet distance that no amount of laughter could quite erase. Sometimes his gaze would drift mid-conversation, as if his mind had slipped into another world entirely. His wife, Bernita, noticed the phone calls that sent Troy walking deep into the swamp, voice lowered to a whisper, far beyond earshot. When he returned, the easy smile was gone, replaced by a heaviness he never explained. His sons, Jacob and Chase, grew up watching their father vanish for stretches of time. Weekend scouting trips that ran long. Business meetings in New Orleans that didn't quite add up. A storage unit across the parish line that no one else had access to. None of it was alarming on its own. Just shadows at the edge of understanding. Easy to ignore. Easier not to question. Even the Swamp People crew noticed things. Days when Troy seemed distracted. A second phone he checked when he thought no one was watching. Conversations cut short the moment someone approached. One production assistant still whispered about stumbling onto Troy in a heated argument with a stranger. An argument that ended the instant he realized he wasn't alone. But Troy Landry was a master of deflection. Years in the swamp had taught him how to misdirect, how to charm, how to survive. He laughed off concerns, redirected curiosity with colorful stories about massive gators and close calls, and smoothed over every crack with that trademark charisma. For 30 years, it worked. Until it didn't. Because the secret Troy had been running from wasn't just about him. It was about choices made long ago. Consequences that compounded quietly over time. And a reality so complex that even the people who loved him most struggled to understand how it had remained hidden for so long. The whispers began in a small town called Breaux Bridge, nearly 40 miles from the Landry homestead. In a modest house away from the main roads, Troy's other life existed, complete with relationships, responsibilities, and emotional ties that would shake everything his public family believed about their patriarch. In the spring of 1993, Troy met Marie Thibodeau at a crawfish festival. She was a schoolteacher, soft-spoken, intelligent, deeply rooted in Louisiana soil. Troy never hid the fact that he was married. Marie knew, but what began as a simple conversation became something neither of them expected. Later that year, Marie became pregnant. The news hit Troy like a hurricane. Walk away and protect the life he'd built with Bernita and his sons, or step into a role that would require him to become 2 men at once. He chose the latter, and with that decision, he committed himself to a balancing act that would consume the next 30 years of his life. Their daughter, Camille, was born in January of 1994. Troy was there, telling Bernita he was on an extended hunting trip. In that hospital room, where no one knew his name or recognized his face, he held his daughter and felt something terrifyingly real. For a brief moment, he wasn't the swamp legend. He was just a father. From that day forward, Troy lived in constant rotation between 2 worlds. He supported Marie and Camille financially through carefully hidden channels. He drove to Breaux Bridge twice a month, timing visits around filming schedules and family obligations in Pierre Part. He attended school plays from the back row, taught Camille to fish in secluded bayous. Always careful, always hidden, Marie never asked him to leave his wife. She understood the impossible position they'd created. But acceptance came at a cost. Missed birthdays, empty holidays, questions from a daughter who couldn't understand why her father always had to leave before sunrise, or why she could never tell anyone who he really was. All the while, Troy's public life continued uninterrupted. Fame made his double life both harder and easier. Harder because recognition meant constant vigilance, easier because celebrity provided endless excuses. And beneath it all, another secret grew. While America watched Troy wrestle alligators and play the role of a struggling swamp man, he was quietly building a financial empire. Real estate, crawfish processing, maritime transport, hospitality investments in New Orleans, all structured through shell companies and trusts that bore no visible connection to him. By the time Swamp People premiered, Troy already owned 17 rental properties. His net worth climbed into the millions while he continued driving beat-up trucks and wearing the same mud-stained boots. His father had taught him that visible wealth makes you a target. Invisible wealth makes you powerful. That invisible wealth funded everything the cameras never saw. The house in Bro Bridge, Camille's tuition, her car, her medical care. Every dollar moved through layers of separation. Carefully planned, carefully hidden. But compartmentalization takes a toll. By his late 40s, Troy began experiencing panic attacks. By his early 60s, insomnia, acid reflux, rapid graying hair. His body carried the weight his conscience had avoided. Then came March 15th. Out on the water before dawn, Troy felt his left arm go numb, chest tightening, breath shallow. Alone in the swamp, he knew exactly what was happening. His father had died of a heart attack. His uncle of a stroke. He made it back to shore, called 911. Then, in a moment of clarity, he made one more call to Marie. Both women arrived at the hospital within minutes of each other. And in that waiting room, the two worlds Troy had spent 30 years keeping apart finally collided. The diagnosis was grim. Emergency surgery. 2 blocked arteries. No guarantees. Before being taken into surgery, Troy asked to see both women together. And in 15 fractured minutes, he told the truth. Everything. He survived the operation. But survival came with consequences far greater than physical pain. What followed wasn't healing, it was reckoning. Families learned the truth. Sons discovered they had a sister. A wife learned her entire marriage had been built on omission. A daughter was finally allowed to exist openly, but at the cost of unimaginable fallout. The swamp had taught Troy how to survive. Now it taught him something harder. Truth doesn't set you free right away. First, it destroys everything that was false. And only then, if you're willing, it gives you a chance to live as one man instead of two.